Welcome to Locker Talk, Episode 9.
Home of the signed Hulk Hogan World Heavyweight Championship belt.
This show, everything WWE, past, present, and future. I am your host, Koltyn, as always, by my side, the main event, Matt. This is Episode 9. I'm going to kick it off to Matt to let you know what we're going to talk about in this week's episode.
Well, children, tonight we're going to talk about some headlines making WWE, and then we're also going to answer some fan mail. I know it doesn't happen often. We're shocked as well. And then we're also going to talk about some NXT call-ups that are making a splash on the current roster. But right now I'm going to kick it back over to Koltyn.
All right, Matt, we're going to start off with news in the WWE this week. Current hot off the presses, we're finding out that it appears that Daniel Bryan is injured, the same neck injury that he had after last year's WrestleMania. This really sucks. He's been taken off the current European tour. As you might have seen, he hasn't been on Raw in a couple weeks. He's been in a lot of tag team matches where he hasn't had to take a lot of punishment. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on this whole Daniel Bryan situation?
You gotta feel bad for the guy, honestly. I mean, he's a talented wrestler. He shaved the beard. I mean, trimmed it at least. He's a talented guy, and to have the same neck injuries, at least, silver linings is at least the doctors have caught it. They could have had an edge situation on their hands where one more bump and he could have been paralyzed forever. If I were Daniel Bryan, I'd really evaluate what you want to do. He'd be great for NXT trainer, or in a few years, maybe after being a trainer, he could be a great commentator. Food for thought on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely at this point of his career, it's definitely got to be tough if they tell him that he has to hang up the boots. What they're saying is that the problem is coming from he hasn't changed his style from what he was working before the injury. They had wanted him to change his wrestling style to have a little less impact on his neck, but he hasn't done that. But I hope this is something else, something that he can come back from. Like you said, he's a really talented guy. He's obviously really over with the fans. One of the guys who is the most popular guys in WWE right now. And so I wish him the best. I hope he recovers. I hope he doesn't have to drop the Intercontinental title like he had to do last year with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And so we just wish the best for him and hope that he recovers and doesn't have to miss a lot of time, if any time. And with that, we're going to move on to our next topic. We only have two news topics, but we feel like these are pretty big topics. Last week, Raw was in London. They've been doing this big European tour they always do after WrestleMania. So Raw was live from London at the O2 Arena. And it came out that WWE edited a lot of the crowd reactions, a lot of the pops that guys got. Most notably, they edited the pop for Cesaro and Bad News Barrett and Neville, who are all from the UK, and also Dolph Ziggler. And so, Matt, what do you think about this editing job by WWE?
Well, before I get into that, I will have to mention that our good friends, your 700,867th favorite wrestling podcast on there, RTM Wrestling, was there. I hope they had a blast. And they saw the real pops. What we should have seen ourselves. I think it's very wrong by WWE to do this. I mean, these guys, all four of these guys, Bad News Barrett, Neville, Ziggler, Cesaro, all four of these guys, a majority of the crowd want to be pushed. So regardless of if they're facing John Cena, if they're facing Randy Orton, or in weird case, if they're facing each other in Ziggler and Neville, you shouldn't do that. It should be very organic, and the crowd really should run who gets pushed. I mean, I think Adam Rose is a decent character. I also think Fandango is talented. But I'm going to shut up about all that because the crowd doesn't want it. And obviously, if the crowd doesn't want it, it's not going to happen. So I am fully with the WWE crowd and the WWE Nation on this. and I think they shouldn't do it. I think they should let these 4 guys do what they do. And all 4 of them have great entrances and have great pops every single night. So it strikes me weird that they would manipulate it for Britain.
I thought the crowd reacted pretty well for old Fandango on Raw this week, going back to his old entrance. Everybody Fandangoing in the crowd. I thought that was great. This is just one of those things where WWE is trying to control things. I understand that from a business aspect. With Cesaro facing Randy Orton, they want their number 2 babyface to get the best crowd reaction. Bad News Barrett facing John Cena. They want John Cena, obviously, to get the best crowd reaction in the world. I get that. I definitely don't like it. I don't approve of that. Like you said, it should definitely be organic. What strikes me as really weird is the fact that they supposedly edited both Neville's reaction and Ziggler's reaction, seeing as they had a match against themselves, or not against themselves, against each other, rather. It makes no sense to me. Like, if you're wanting one guy to be more popular than the other, you would edit one of them and not the other. But if you just want both guys to look good, it doesn't make sense, especially when this was the last match of the night. This was technically the headlining match, which I thought was funny. Ziggler actually gets to headline a wrestling event. I guess that's what happens over there where they drive on the wrong side of the road and whatnot. But yeah, I definitely don't agree with it. They don't have the only way they could do this, since that they were in England, they don't have that ability when they're shooting live from any location in the U.S. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I think it's unfortunate. The crowd obviously wants these guys to do well. You and I definitely both want them, or all of them, to do well. And so I just think it's unfortunate that WWE decides to do that, if they did do that. That's really all for news. Matt, why don't you start us off with some of those very rare and very treasured fan questions?
I'd be happy to. Well, our first question comes to us from Dustin, and his Twitter handle is @MrFaithful413. And his question is, what veterans do we want to see back? And that also includes retired veterans and veterans from WWE that are in other branches, which is a very good question. Thank you, Dustin, for that.
Thank you.
I'm going to kick it over to Koltyn right now to show us his first answer, and then we'll ping pong back.
All right. Yeah. We both chose two people each, or in my case, a team and a guy. My first pick was the Hardys. These are Matt's guys. Everybody loves the Hardys. It'd be great to see Matt and Jeff back for one final run in the WWE. It'd be great to have that great fire and energy. It would definitely fire up the tag team division, which at times has been a little lax. WWE just happened to do a poll either today or yesterday asking which teams fans wanted back, and the Hardys and the Dudleys were both tied with 32% of the vote in a list that had about 10 different teams. And so definitely the Hardys, it's just that great nostalgia feeling for a time long gone that we want to see. My next one you might not think of first. This guy could come back in any capacity and I would be completely entertained. SmackDown #1 announcer, Funaki. I love Funaki, man. Back when he was, SmackDown's announcer, he's just so entertaining, I hate to say it, but they might have definitely been playing up the fact that, he's this little Asian guy. But, Funaki was funny. Funaki was entertaining. And when he got in the ring, he was able to do some pretty decent work in Kai and Tai way back when in the Attitude Era. I'll always remember Funaki very fondly, and I'd love to see him back in any form. Matt, who do you have?
Before I get into that, I'd be interested, could you remember any of those other teams that were on that
there was the Hardys, the Dudleys, DX, Sabu, and RVD. They had they had a write-in one, obviously. They had the world's greatest tag team, I believe, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. They had a few other ones, but yeah, there was a really stacked list of great tag teams from the past.
That shows you how popular the Hardys were back then.
Very true.
All right, well, my picks, they may seem a little obvious, but I have reasons behind them, trust me. The first one is Rob Van Dam. I realize he's old. I realize he's said he's in no hurry, but with superstars like Seth Rollins, the World Heavyweight Championship, Neville coming out, Dolph Ziggler doing his thing, these are all guys that model even a little bit after RVD. So I think that RVD coming back and kind of like mentoring these guys, it would prove just buckets of worth in the long run to them. It would be really helpful, and you'd get some pretty entertaining matches out of it because regardless if he's 61 or 73 years old, he'd still be able to roll up just a little bit, I guess. And the other one, the obvious choice in everyone's mind, and I have to do it because I'm a huge supporter, John Morrison.
Jomo.
And I'm not talking about Johnny Nitro. I'm talking about John Morrison. We're not talking about practice here, folks. We're talking about Morrison. We're talking about the abs. We're talking about the hair. We're talking about the fur jackets. We're talking about Hollywood. We're talking about the better wrestler of Eminem. He can come back and just so many capacities. I would love to see him interjected into that mid-card race with, again, Dolph Ziggler, Neville. These great technical wrestlers. We could put on some great shows with these guys. It would just be amazing to watch. And then, before we move on, an honorable mention, as we need to do, because we couldn't get over this one. At SummerSlam 2015, we would love to see Bray Wyatt in the ring talking about he is the eater of worlds, the new face of fear. We would love to see Surround the Ring. We would love to see Undertaker for one, followed by the Boogeyman, followed by the all-powerful Papa Shango. It would be just a fantastic moment. Maybe, since it's four sides, maybe you can get Al Snow on that fourth side with the doll's head. It'd be just a great moment. It'd be a nostalgic moment. You wouldn't need any wrestling. You would just need that, like, darkness. Bray Wyatt would be put in his place. The kiddo would learn he's not the new face of fear. It'd just be a great moment, really. And SummerSlam would be boosted.
I agree. That would be a lot of fun. I don't know if Al Snow has gotten over the big boss man cooking and feeding him his dog. It's a bit of a. They got away with a lot of stuff in the Attitude Era. Let's say that. Our next question comes to you from none other than good old Daniel Farmer. Farmer's always there if we need someone to ask us a question to talk about and rant for a while. And so Farmer's first question is, what is our current favorite WWE storyline? Matt, we didn't think there was a whole lot of great storylines going on right now, but which one's your favorite?
I didn't think there was a whole lot of great storylines. It's a lot of stale storylines, personally. They've backed their way into a corner with a lot of things. So I'm going to say my favorite current storyline is just Neville and everything he's doing. But I will also say as a number 2 favorite storyline, and I'll have to hand it to WWE creative team on this one. Again, and mind you, this is only the second time in 9 shows that I'm doing this.
Wow.
Resurrecting somewhat the careers of Tyson Kidd and Cesaro by giving them the titles, giving them big pops here. They're really doing great work with Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. It's a great team to watch. They're fun, but I mean, they're not giving them too many great teams to face. Some would say Neville, and I love how they're giving Neville not that undefeated streak, because that's a big thing to live up to. He's about, I don't know, he's like 5-1, 6-2, something like that. Obviously not 6-2, 5-2 maybe, something like that. I don't know, but it's a pretty good, like, if I had matched him with an MLB pitcher, I'd match him with a record of the number 2 or number 3 right now, and that's pretty good. Because it's only up right now because he doesn't have that expectations.
He is the man.
So I'm going to shoot it back over to...
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot it back over to Koltyn for his favorite storylines.
Well, we already said that there's not a whole lot of great storylines, but I'm going to go with John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge. For one of the reasons, it's provided with what I think is some pretty funny tweets on my part. Making fun of the U.S. Open and comparing that to tennis. If any of you watch tennis, Matt and I are both big tennis fans. I like seeing John Cena face guys that we wouldn't normally see. We don't just have to see him face Randy Orton every night. It's nice to see him work with some more mid-card guys. Just try to see how he fits in the ring with some other people. You can't deny he's put on good matches every Monday night since WrestleMania. So I think it's doing okay for his career. It's obviously going to elevate some other people just having them in the ring with a guy like John Cena. And so just for that sake, he's going to have a chain match against Rusev, and we'll get to that later, like next week later. But Matt, we got another question, so what is it?
We do, and this... Now, I tried to get Koltyn to go along with Fool and Farmer on this, saying it was from other people, but alas, this is also from Daniel Farmer. Not sure if his Twitter handle, something bedwetter maybe, I don't know. Maybe something to do with the draft, it changes. But this next question is what our favorites... intros are, and not just music, everything. So Koltyn and I have 2 currents and 2 all-times, and we're going to bring you through that. I'm going to shoot it over to Koltyn and give us his first one.
Now, the first one that I've got is the stereotypical answer. What is the greatest entrance of all time? Undertaker, obviously. There's this great mystique around the Undertaker. The greatest character that professional wrestling has ever had. Argue with you if you want. I will argue with you to the grave. The best character that's ever been. The Undertaker is entrance music that you just hear that first gong and chills run down my spine every time it happens, especially now since he doesn't come back very often. He just has that great intimidation factor that you don't get from anybody else or really even get close to with anyone else. You have how he can literally control the lights in an arena. He has supernatural powers. You have that purple light, the fog and everything. It's just great. I really love it. My other all-time favorite entrance is that of the New Age Outlaws. Badass Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg Jesse James. Like, everyone loves, talking along with Road Dogg as he talks through their entrance. It's just great, a lot of fun. It provides, it just provides really good entertainment for the crowd. He just had the crowd eating out of his hands, Generation X is proud to present to you the WWF Tag Team Champion of the World! And all that kind of thing. And so, to me, it was just really fun. It's a really memorable entrance. To this day, people can still, say every little bit of it. And so, yeah, I really enjoy that one. I enjoy Undertaker's. Matt, what are some of your all-time favorite entrances?
I'm going to get really specific with my first one. I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels. And I'm not going to go with Shawn Michaels every day, Shawn Michaels. I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels ziplining down from the rafters to the ring. I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels as the anti-Undertaker, arms out, saying a prayer to the skies, all in white, King carried to the ring. I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels on his knees, shooting up there. I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels' big matches. I'm going to go with the Heartbreak Kid, the show stopper. That's what I'm going to go with. Very specific. Nothing to do with Raw SmackDown appearances. Mainly WrestleManias, a few pay-per-views here and there. My second one is warning children, if you are prone to seizures, turn off your televisions because the strobe lights are going to be going. It's going to be purple and black in the arena. The lights are going to be flashing everywhere. The most expensive pyro you can ever think of. The Hardy Boys. Team Extreme. The Brood. I don't care what you call them. They're there. They're proud. They're high flyers. They're everything you want them to be. They're coming out in ladder matches. The crowd's going crazy. They're ducking through the ladders, and you're just like, no, that's bad luck. But they don't care. They're going to do it anyway, and that's what made their entrance so amazing. You're busting out your seats. And I challenge you to find a tag team that's more electric than the match where it was Bryan and Kendrick versus Regal and Taylor. Talon comes out and is all like, players, I'm feeling in a Christmas mood right now, and you know what? I won't give you a present right now. I will give you two other teams in there, players. Out comes Eminem, and then the crowd's going, mind you. But everything else is silence, and the crowd's like, Hardy, Hardy. And there it is, the elliptic seizure entrance that we've come to love. The Hardys come out, everything goes crazy, and that's why the Hardys is on my list right now. I'm going to shoot it back over to Koltyn for the two current people.
Before we get to that, I would like to apologize to any of our viewers who are upset by Matt's potentially racial use of Teddy Long's use of the word playa.
That's how he talks.
I know it is. But just if any of you politically correct assholes get offended by that, screw you. It's our show. We're going to do whatever we want. It's funny and you know it is. Moving on. So my first one is a guy you may have heard us talk about on this episode about 12 times already. My current favorite entrance, the man that gravity forgot, Neville. Neville already had a great entrance in NXT, but coming up to the main roster, they added that little video at the beginning, shooting down onto the earth. They added that amazing looking pyro, probably the best pyro they have in WWE today. And his entrance is already great. The entrance music is great. It fits Neville really well. He really fits that bill and a great entrance. And I just love it. It's very entertaining. I mean, you would think, what could we do to make Neville even more exciting? They did it. I'm really impressed by that. My next one is what we have in the past called as the present day New Age Outlaws, similar to my previous pick. Enzo and Big Cass down there in NXT. They are not soft. They are certified G's and bona fide studs, and you can't teach that. Matt, who you got?
Once again, I'm going to get really specific here because I like detail. Finn Balor. I'm talking about Balor. Finn Balor.
A little line on the O, yeah.
Little dash. I don't know what it's called right now, but it's a dash.
We didn't go to a great high school, so we don't know that kind of thing.
Finn Balor. Big match Finn Balor. I'm talking about the headdress with the cornrows coming down. That's all red and black. I'm talking about him crawling, talking about the long entrance, because that gets you pumped up, that gets you ready. Now, the other one I'm going to talk about right now is the new face of Fear, the Eater of Worlds. Get it, the glove, because he wears a glove. I thought it was clever.
Where did you get that glove?
No one needs to worry about that right now. What? Bray Wyatt, when he's out there and you hear the little, like, that's the new Undertaker ringtone, the new Undertaker entrance, if you ask me. You got Undertaker, you have the gong. I mean, with Bray Wyatt, you have that, like, that's kind of like Deliverance meets, like, uncomfortable. Like, when the Wyatts came out, me and Koltyn both talked about it. It's like, they're awesome, but I feel really uncomfortable. Like, I want to turn the TV off for their entrance. Because they just strike that fear through you. I mean, for different people, it's different fears, but, like, I just feel like I'm going through a swamp in Louisiana and I'm coming through the wrong part of town, if you know what I mean. So, that's what I get, and it's unnerving when you see all the buzzards out there with their cell phones out. It's just a good entrance. I wish we'd see it more, but obviously he doesn't feel like he needs to wrestle that often. Moving on, though.
All right, our next question comes to you from a man on Twitter. You might have heard him. His name is Daniel Farmer. You might have heard of him before. His next question, it kind of goes along with the first question, is what storylines do we want to see most in WWE right now? Or what matches do you think we would most want to see in WWE right now? So, Matt, I know you've got a few of these, so why don't you give us a few of them?
The number one match I want to see, or the number one rivalry, Brock Lesnar versus Rusev. Mainly not because these two guys are big and strong. Well, yes, that is the main reason, actually. They would just destroy each other. Like, I want to see Lesnar attempt to suplex Rusev that many times and not show wear and tear on Lesnar himself. Rusev would obviously get some good shots in there. I feel like Rusev is a few moves away from being to that level to face him. Rusev would need some good offensive moves. Some good, like, not a chop, but like a good, like, power punch, something like that, and a good finisher that's not a submission finisher, and you'd have a good match right there. Another one, and I'm basing this off of John Cena's Open U.S. Challenge that we heard about earlier, Koltyn mentioned. John Cena versus Dean Ambrose. I was so impressed with Dean Ambrose's outing that it inspired me to put these guys down here because that would be a great rivalry. Like, I didn't think Dean Ambrose had what it takes to hang with the big boys just yet, but he does, obviously. It was a great match, great athleticism on both parts. John Cena did a great job. John Cena pulled out of that match. But in the long run, obviously, my boy Dean Ambrose, Lunatic Fringe would pull it out. Another one, obviously, it's going on right now, but a little differently, I want to see it. New Day versus Lucha Dragons versus Cesaro Kid. I want to see it as, for lack of better words here, a blood sport rivalry. I want to see it as they're facing, like, Lucha Dragons facing New Day. I want to see Cesaro Kid out there disrupting the match. I want to see Cesaro Kid pull, like, Big E down from the apron and beat the holy crud out of him while the match is going. Like, I want to see the blood sport in these three. I want to see a TLC match. I feel like these three, if New Day, if they market them decently, these three teams can bring back the tag team division, and just in time for the Usos to come back from Jey Uso's shoulder injury, to have a great tag team division. Like, their tag team division could potentially be stronger than it ever has been, depending on how they market it and depending if they give them time for these matches. And my last one would be Rollins versus Neville, because I feel like Neville has a little chip on his shoulder, and Rollins obviously has a log on his shoulder. Neville, I mean, if Orton gets to J&J Security, beats the holy crap out of them, Neville one-on-one with Rollins, that'd be great to watch. I mean, rivalry-wise, we would get main event matches every single week. We're already getting them with Neville against whoever you put him against anyway. Rollins versus Neville, I mean, we're talking about 2 to 3 pay-per-views, plus all those matches in between. This could sell out. This could pack houses in. This would sell merchandise for both of these out the nose. We're talking about a lot of money that WWE could make if they pit these two against each other.
I agree. Now, as we've been talking about with Neville, our main topic for the show, we're going to talk about some current NXT call-ups. We've already talked about these 2 individuals, or 3 individuals technically, already in this show, but we're going to go in a little bit more depth. We're going to start off with the Lucha Dragons. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Lucha Dragons? They've been called up right after WrestleMania. What do you think about these guys?
I'm gonna be internet shammed pretty hard for this, but the main event is ready. The main event is ready, people. To call out the Lucha Dragons and say that they are a little bit overrated. They're fun to watch, yes. But are they deserving of being that over? I don't think so. I think Cesaro Kid are deserving of being that over. The Lucha Dragons pull off some cool moves, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this is awesome! It's not that awesome. We've seen it before. Moves that Cesaro Kid do, moves that New Day do. Moves that New Day do are very underrated. When they get going, they're good. And they're wrestling good. Lucha Dragons are Lucha Underground good. I could bring anybody from Lucha Underground if you guys like Lucha Dragons and watch them, and you'd be like, yeah, this is awesome! You guys should really enjoy Lucha Underground if you like Lucha Dragons. Like, it's just the style. We've seen it before. That's why I'm not that impressed. They're talented. Don't get me wrong. They are talented, but they're not that. They shouldn't be that over.
Yeah, I think it's that Lucha style that you're talking about that makes them similar to Lucha Underground. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, I like the Lucha Dragons. They've got their little lucha thing going on that gets the crowd involved. I think that's great. You definitely need that kind of a thing to be popular with the crowd. I think they're kind of on an opposite track that the Ascension was. The Ascension was brought up from NXT, and they just kind of faltered right from the start. They were kind of given a little push to start off, but they did not handle that well. I think the Lucha Dragons are doing a little bit better. They're kind of booking Kalisto as kind of being like the next big Lucha wrestler in the WWE, taking over that spot from Rey Mysterio. Yeah, I think that you could say that they might be a little overrated, but we haven't really seen a great Lucha-style team in WWE for a long time. And so I think for fans, it's a little bit fresh. It's a little bit new. They get some excitement in the match. So I think that they're definitely very important, especially like you said with the Uso that Michael Cole can't figure out which one is which, is out with an injury right now. And so I think that's going to be they're going to fill a spot there, and I think they're going to do that pretty well. Next, we're going to talk about the man that gravity forgot. Man, we sure mentioned this guy a lot this episode. Neville. Matt, what do you think about Neville? Is there anything you don't like about his current his current main roster, him being on the main roster, and kind of tell me what do you expect out of Neville's career as a WWE superstar?
This thing right here is what I want for Neville. But this thing here, Neville will never touch. And I am saddened by that. Because I feel like McMahon understands that there are no more behemoths, there are no more dragons, there are no more giants in the world to facilitate all of these spots. So you have guys like Daniel Bryan, if he recovers, Dolph Ziggler, Neville, Finn Balor, to fill all these spots, but only a few of them will reach that level of the World Heavyweight Championship. Neville, however, I do not feel will ever touch the World Heavyweight Championship. I feel like he will be a filler in some Elimination Chamber matches. I feel like he will obtain easily the Intercontinental Championship, the U.S. Championship. But as for the WWE Championship, he won't be. He'll be in some Money in the Bank ladder matches.
Oh, yeah.
He'll come close, he'll flirt with it, and it'll torture us fans forever. But sadly, his future is not as bright as we want it to be. It's just simple as that. It's just not.
I agree completely. I mentioned this to our friends over at RTM Wrestling when they posed the same question. We would all love for Neville to be the World Heavyweight Champion, but I just don't see it happening. I still don't know if the WWE will ever push a small guy. He's not even 200 pounds. Like, it's astronomical to me, how small he is, but he is so good. Him and Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. None of these are the big bodybuilder John Cena, Triple H type guys. But I think fans are turning to wanting a more smaller, athletic guy who can do all these great things and have these crisp, great matches. And so I feel like, if anything, the time is now to make that switch over to where the smaller guys have a bigger chance at becoming World Heavyweight Championship, and guys like I just mentioned are going to lead the way in that. And so I still find a hard time believing that they would push a guy like that to the promised land, unless you're a guy like Shawn Michaels or Daniel Bryan. And I'm sorry, I love Neville, but he's no Shawn Michaels, he's no Daniel Bryan. But yeah, I love what he's been doing so far. He's had a few matches with Curtis Axel. He had a great match with Seth Rollins. He had a fantastic match with Dolph Ziggler. He did that great 450 splash off the barricade that everyone loved. He's had a match with Sheamus on SmackDown. I love how they're putting him up against these top-level guys in Ziggler, Sheamus, and Rollins. They're adding validity to Neville just by having him in the ring with those guys. I agree. I think he's going to definitely have a great career. He's going to be a guy that people like for a long time. I see he can win multiple titles. I feel like if you put him you could find someone to put him in a tag team. They could make a fantastic tag team. There's just a number of different guys that could fit that spot. But yeah, I'm really happy with what they've done with Neville. I hope that they continue to do that. I think the kid has a really bright future. I don't know how bright. He's the man that gravity forgot, so for all we know, he could go straight to the stars, and it would not shock us one bit. I think that's all we really have on our main topics. Matt, we have some announcements, so you want to kick us off there?
We do, but before we go into announcements, we have one more thing we wanted to talk about real fast, and that was who we thought we were going, or who we think is going to be brought up next.
Yes.
I think Koltyn has a lot more to say about this one than I do, so I'm going to let him go first.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I completely forgot about that, but I appreciate that. So obviously the big talks recently has been that Finn Balor is going to be the guy who's coming up to the main roster next. He worked with the main roster. He has been working with the main roster on the current European tour. They've said that they didn't want to keep him in NXT for a long time, and so I see Balor coming up. potentially before SummerSlam. They don't really have much for him to do down in NXT. So I think he comes up sooner rather than later. When it comes to other people, AJ Lee just retired. We're all sad about that. But I think the silver lining of that is that there's some great divas down in NXT who can fill her spot. I think Charlotte is the most likely candidate for the next diva to come up. Sasha Banks also just equally as talented, but she's currently the NXT Women's Champion. So really, I'd say top three would probably be Balor, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks. Of course, there's a ton of people I would love to see come up. You know, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, but those guys, they're obviously going to be down for a little while longer. Matt, do you agree with that? Anyone else you might like to add to that list?
I do agree. I would say Charlotte would be the next one to be pulled up. I want to know what they're going to do with Sami Zayn. I don't know if I saw an article that said Kevin Owens should end Sami Zayn's NXT career. I don't know if that means he should beat him up so badly that he can't wrestle in NXT anymore or what, but yeah, I mean, the big option is Finn Balor. I just don't know if that's a good call to put him above Sami Zayn, and when Sami Zayn's done so much work for NXT, like, should they put Finn Balor above? I think Finn Balor, I'm going to go on a limb here again, going on a limb a lot this episode, I guess, and say Finn Balor is more talented than Sami Zayn.
Them are fighting words.
I know, I'm going to get Sami Zayn knocking on my door later on.
You're going to get me knocking on the door a little later on.
I just feel that given everything that's happening, like finishing move-wise and everything, Finn Balor is more talented, but over-wise and crowd charisma-wise, we're going with Sami Zayn, and that's what you need on the main roster. But right now you need divas that can do it, and you need to put aside all these other good guys, that are good wrestlers, and you need divas that can do it, and that's Charlotte. Charlotte is Sasha Banks, who Charlotte's coming up next. Mark my words.
I agree. Now let's get to the announcements. I skipped ahead a little bit there. So Matt, first announcement, what do you got?
First announcement is next week, our show next week will be Extreme Rules. No rules to our show, no rules to Extreme Rules. That's how it is.
That's right. Our next little bit of announcements. On Twitter, we finally reached the okay-ish, not really that great milestone of 100 Twitter followers. I tweeted that out.
8 episodes.
Yeah. I tweeted that out, and immediately we lost 2 followers. So to those 2 people, I'm sorry that we failed you. But for everyone who has stuck with us through these 9 episodes, I just want to say thank you. Sincerely, we do appreciate your support. Hopefully we can try to improve this show in any way possible. And we can only do that through your guys' feedback. So if you want to tweet us, we are at wwelockertalk. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to watch our other videos. Make sure to leave a comment right down there if you want to do that instead of tweeting at us. But once again, really, we just want to thank you guys so much for all your support. Matt, looks like you want to add something there.
We also received 10 subscribers on YouTube, which is, I guess, pretty cool. We're basic, though, so...
We're at 11.
We got 11!
Yeah.
We're climbing.
That's right. We're moving up in the world.
A lot of other wrestling talk shows will beat us out on Twitter, but we actually, strangely enough, beat them out on YouTube with subscribers, so that's cool.
Yeah, all those who have no subscribers, we're better than those guys. So once again, we thank you we thank you for your support. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything, tweet us, comment, anything you'd like. With that, we get to our hashtag of the week. So, hashtag best in the world. Not the mama.
Not the mama.